All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Dr. Stone, Season 2, Episode 11, the finale.
Season finale.
Yep.
Oh boy. Last episode,
Clap.
Yeah.
High five, yeah.
Uh-huh.
They got to fight, even though it was just a fleeting moment of partnership there.
Humanity's strongest tag team.
And yet, Tsukasa could be dead here. It depends
He probably
on
is.
how mortal of a wound this is, and also
just
how
a
strong
lung,
of a
no big
primate
deal.
he is.
Right. But also, Hyoga, he do still be alive, and that be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, he is going to be out unconscious for a time that Senku will be very much aware of.
Yep.
So he's probably not worried about him getting up, too quickly or anything
Exactly.
like that.
Yep.
But it is something of where, at the very least, Senku, you guys did say you were going to kill him. So maybe you should make sure you do that.
We can finally see, one, if Senku will kill someone, but two, does Senku have the strength where when they're unconscious and he has a weapon to actually be able to kill them? No, that'd be
I think
dark.
there are more humane ways he could do it. Yeah. No, just like slice a little thing and then just he'll bleed out slowly, and he'll just get cold.
Right.
And then just die. Yeah.
Yep.
Brutal. But this is the season finale, which means, guys, hey, we had another sequels pull.
Yep.
That means there are 3 new sequel shows that will be following directly after this one in a specific order. Yeah. If you want to find out what the order is of those shows, stick around to the end of the video. The shows are Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2, Megalobox Season 2, and Zombieland Saga Season 2.
But what is the order?
What is the order? Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Okay.
Oh my god.
Tsukasa's been frozen.
Oh my god.
Hyoga and Homura are imprisoned. We're gonna build a boat.
Yep.
We're gonna build a boat.
We are going to the other side of the planet.
Oh my
Holy
god!
shit.
Of all the things that I would expect. Okay, so I think we might have even talked about the idea of if they were to go and travel the world,
right?
Like what would be the way that they would do it? I don't think we ever came up with boat because the problem was that the ocean was too much of a you flub the ocean and you die.
Right, but they're in Japan, so they they kind of have to.
No, of course they have to build a boat.
Okay.
But we talked about, I think, the idea of not building an ocean boat, but just let's pop over to South Korea kind of boat.
Yeah. If anything,
not a big boat, know, like a just seas,
Yeah, if anything, what I could see them potentially doing is, as a way to make sure that they especially make sure that they don't get lost, is they just travel along the coasts and stuff and then get to the places.
That's actually kind of more dangerous because of tides and stuff like that. You actually want to make sure you break free of the shore by a lot.
But right. But if you make it so that land is still in sight, and then you use that as kind of like a guide.
Totally. But
maybe tides.
All you have to do is have some, pretty decent basic astronomy and geographical awareness, and you won't really get lost.
Right.
Not
and actually,
really.
That's a good point. No, the waves are worse close to the coast anyway. So
but I think the point that they're saying is that they're going to take a boat and go across the Pacific, and they're going to probably, because this makes the most sense in terms of using a boat. They're probably not going to go to the nearest landmass. They're probably going to go as close as they can to South America so they can get to where it seems the light source originated from.
Yeah.
But oh my god. Okay. So if this is what's going on, then we in One Piece, and that's not a
basically
meme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I love the stuff they did with Tsukasa.
That was
the
so
stuff
good.
with his sister, and then having it,
And
like you
Senku
said,
and-
being a thing of where now she'll look after him, and now she'll catch up to him in years.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the other thing that's cool about this is that they are taking a little bit of a risk that Senku's technology is going to work here, and that over the course of time, this waterfall won't disappear.
Sure.
But that means they're going to leave him here.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to take him in the boat.
Right. Yeah.
and
That
go
that
out
just
there.
wouldn't work. Yeah.
This will be the final thing of the series to come back to Japan
Yep.
on a plane or something, and
Who knows?
just be
Yeah.
like, "Here,
Mm-hmm.
we're
Yep.
going to save you now, Tsukasa.
Right. Which.
We
Okay.
figured it out. you
All
know?
right. Like I.
Like,
which
all
is
right.
which is great because I mean, the way everything in this kind of ties all back together so nicely with where the show started.
Yeah.
Because like it really does give me the sense of like no, this is very much the prologue, and like this was
Right.
planned kind of from the start, right?
Uh-huh.
Of okay, petrification having healing properties, awesome, right?
Yeah.
They need to figure out how the petrification happened, but how do you make it so that they have the reason to do that beyond just let's figure out the mystery, right? This is Dr.
Right.
Stone, where they have to do inventions and work with science and things like that and explore things. So hey, yeah, you have to heal somebody. And what more poetic way for a full, absolute 100% science victory than
Right.
to take the original antagonist, the original villain, and put him on ice and basically say, and again, I love that that's something that, yeah, normally wouldn't happen in the real world, but since you're going to be petrifying him when you wake him up anyways, it's totally fine, right? And then just, yeah, they can just bring him back at the very end of the show or whatever, and there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's so much excitement now by having this episode be kind of about 50% kind of about the resolution of the arc as a whole, like from the beginning that, you know, Tsukasa kind of represented. And then building up again where humanity will go from here on out.
Right. Yep.
And there's all kinds of things that have been set up over the course of the series so that the show doesn't end here. Like this isn't the point where now suddenly there will be no more conflict. Everything will be perfectly fine.
All kinds of new conflicts that they could come up with.
Exactly.
It might not be people necessarily all the time that want to like kill them or whatever, but it still
No,
could be.
But it still could be in some other ways, because there was still the part of the village that split off from them.
Yep.
We don't know where they are.
And it is totally possible that there could be other revival fluid caves.
Yeah, other revival fluid caves, or just people that, you know, were no longer petrified after a certain point, and then they figured out how to revive people.
Yep, exactly.
Like, that could have happened.
Yep.
Now, the really freaky part here is the way this show decided to end on a cliffhanger that we have no context for. All we have is a person whose face looks rather scary, like very intimidating.
And they look like they're about to snap their fingers.
They look like they're about to snap their fingers, which shows intent.
Right.
Intent at the moment of petrification. Which, to me, seems to be hinting at some kind of knowledge about the fact that the petrification
was going to happen.
Or of, you know, all of that was going to happen.
Right. It could be completely ironic and just like, oh yeah, they were going to be like, I can make myself fart on command, you know, but.
Sure. Or it could have been something of, this is the snap that will last 1,000 years.
Oh,
I'm
as
holding it here.
Yeah, as they realize,
once I
like,
break free, I will finish the snap.
Right, it takes them a while, and they're like,
right, but to them it'll feel like it was an instant. It's got to be so satisfying to be like, I do this, and then once I'm broken free, an instant.
Right, like it was all planned.
Very much reminds me from a certain character who will go nameless in Final Fantasy XIV, who has a very like specific motif regarding snapping his fingers above his head. Anyway,
but one of the things I am excited about.
We're not dealing with Asians here, so so there's that.
Is that if this character is kind of like the new antagonistic figure, because it was very much like an ominous, like, ooh, you know.
Sure.
this character looks very different from the kinds of people we've had conflict with in the past.
You really?
Well,
I was gonna say he looks like crazy Tsukasa.
Well, okay, face looks like crazy Tsukasa. Well, no, yeah, I guess
he literally just looks like Tsukasa, but crazier.
Well, okay, I guess
is it just me?
No, yeah, you're right. I got that vibe too. But when I would look at the hand looked frail. And then it goes down to the rest of the arm. It's like, okay, no, this person's got muscle and stuff. This person's
quite muscular.
Yeah, but okay.
I thought if anything, it was more of a thing of just showing that this person's hands are quite big compared to the rest of his body.
Yeah.
Which to me gets a little bit gangly and creepy.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to being the absolute unit that was Tsukasa and also
Taiju?
No.
Hyoga?
Hyoga. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I've already forgotten about him.
Which there's a lot of units in this story. We've got
That's true. Even Kasuki.
We've got Kasuki. We've got freaking big guy. What was his name? Magma. Yeah. We've got all kinds of units.
I gotta say, I am really glad that Kohaku and everybody showed up when they did, because when the episode opened with Homura watching everything,
I got worried. Yeah,
I was very scared.
Don't undo all the stuff that we just went through.
Right?
Here
like
with,
no,
like grabbing
do not,
Hyoga and running
do
away.
Do not.
No, Kohaku immediately is just like, you thought, bitch. And
then exactly.
Boom, boom. It's over.
Let me introduce you to my katanas.
Hyoga is alive.
Mm-hmm.
This is also, I would say, a nice little setup here in that Senku promised a bloodless fight.
He intends to hold to that.
He intends to hold to that. But I do find it interesting that he said will kill him in the previous episode, which might have been just a bit of a misnomer thing.
I think Senku was okay with killing him in that moment, but then once he was able to defeat him non-lethally, it's the I'm not going to execute him, right?
Sure. But the fact that extended out to Tsukasa as well, because this whole fight ended with Tsukasa nearly dying, and Tsukasa, in some ways, was necessary in order for this fight to be over. Hyoga would not have been defeated by just Senku alone. It just would not have been.
No way.
In fact, like, Hyoga wanted a different kind of dynamic duo.
Yep.
But when it came down to the end and we were realizing, we have to petrify him to save him, but we can't do that now. I loved the obvious, deep
freeze
sleep.
him.
Yeah. My father was an astronaut,
Right. Like just
yeah.
just the idea of, hey, and again, I love this so much. The fact that the technology doesn't need to be perfected in the modern era because the undoing the petrification has regenerative properties.
Right.
Like, I love that. I love that so much.
But we need time.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of the themes that the show gets at when you think about the idea of time being something that we can bend to our will, even just as much as nature, or the the laws of physics, and all these things that you use science to basically bring mastery over, or some kind of something helpful to humanity. This being something where we're going to leverage time here, in that eventually humanity will figure out the petrification thing. Senku might not figure it out.
Nope.
There is a world line where Senku does figure it out. But even then, if he figures it out, he might not be able to literally go back to Japan to see.
Possibly.
Because he might be 50 years older at that point.
Right, exactly. He can't take the trip, kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? Yep.
Or just it's too dangerous, maybe, for like taking maybe they have a thing that they can use to enact the petrification, but are you going to really put it on a boat and go across the Pacific Ocean?
Right, it's that thing. That better not be the only one.
Yeah, exactly. You better have some way of like making more of that.
Yeah, it better be duplicatable. Yeah,
exactly. So there's a whole lot of ways in which Tsukasa is putting his trust in Senku that I really, really like, because when you come all the way back to the beginning of the show, and you realize how much the three of them needed to all rely on each other's specific, talents and skills. This show was a very different thing back then.
Yes.
It was just these 3 guys trying to figure out how to survive.
Mhm.
And, it was just Senku for the longest time, too.
Right.
So having that bond be something that kind of has that little power of friendship kind of aspect to it, but that's not why, we redeemed Tsukasa.
Mhm.
Like, that has nothing to do with it, really. There's something really special about that.
Yeah, seeing
Yeah.
Tsukasa think back on those days when everything was much simpler,
Mhm.
before he got this kind of like grand vision of how he would change things with this opportunity that he'd been given.
Yeah.
I like that it was that I did consider you a friend, right?
Mhm.
Before things there was that schism,
Before
right?
things got dicey,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
were actually decently close. Yeah.
Yep. And
'Cause
maybe
they had to be. Yeah.
right, and maybe it was also something where there was some element of respite possibly for Tsukasa because
Mhm.
of what his life had been like before he got petrified, right?
Sure.
Can't imagine he had that many close friends,
Maybe a lot of superficial friends, if anything.
Sure.
I really liked how, this is kind of like a way of saying we're saying goodbye to the old world and
Mhm.
goodbye to the old prologue of the show as we move on. But Tsukasa then turns over his heart, if you will, Mirai to Senku and basically says, you'll take care of her, and
Right.
over the course of this time that'll be something that I trust you with. Because when it came down to what made Senku someone who, wasn't just a ridiculously smart and, kind of gleefully
Right.
I'm going to use science kind
Uh-huh.
of person, was that there was this unwavering similarity, I would say, to Tsukasa in that he had a vision of how he was going to save everyone.
Yes.
And Tsukasa had the same kind of thing as well. But the fact that Senku was, well, in some ways, never willing to, not compromise in that area, but he was never willing to hurt anyone in terms of like killing them or anything like that to achieve that.
Yeah.
There's this trust that I feel like Tsukasa has in Senku that is warranted.
Sure.
Versus him wondering whether someone would trust him with the same.
Sure.
Would anyone trust Tsukasa with the same kind of thing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few things that were just really nice touches this episode. One, I loved that Tsukasa remembered all of the locations of the statues that he
And who they
smashed.
were.
Yeah, and pointed them out to them and being like, all right, there's this one, this location, and all that stuff. That's great. It's a great way for him to well, quite literally, undo the damage that he did.
Yes.
Yes. And then it also the fact that then it serves as a community service option for the cop guy. I love that. That's just so fitting because it's such it must be mind-numbing to try and just be like, okay, this piece goes there.
Somebody
and
has
piece goes there.
We're not here for just an afternoon.
No.
We're gonna be here for a
until it's all done.
time.
Yeah. But then also the idea of, not killing Hyoga. Well, yeah, no, that's fine. With how fast science is progressing in 10, 20 years, he's not going to be that big a deal.
No.
Right? And then if he does get out, so what? Right?
Yeah.
We'll he'll know that he won't even be able to do the things that he wants to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
But oh man, I have so many theories now because if we're going on this explorative grand goal-based adventure where we're now actually in the main plot, which is we need to eventually figure out the petrification.
Yep.
The petrification's nature, its origin, and then how to undo it. And then there's a bunch of subsets of things underneath that.
Right.
Crazy amounts of stuff that we'll be building here. I feel like we'll be going back to some of the ways in which the show was the best, I'd say. Back in season 1 when you had the light bulb. That's still one of my favorite moments in the whole series. But having that be something that doesn't have necessarily, like you were saying, physical human conflict, feels like it could get a bit stale if there's no struggle to progress, you know?
If they, the pressure, the time constraints and things like that.
Those add on to it, but maybe having something a little bit more. And then the show decides to give us the
Psycho Tsukasa.
Yeah, this really, really kind of crazed eye looking individual that looks like gleefully excited.
Right. So
can we make predictions that this show is actually a fantasy? And that's the whole thing of we're going to paint over this
fantasy
world fantasy with science, and that there is something that is scientifically discoverable, but the idea of the petrification is literally the fantastical thing, that there is no real science behind it, but they're going to introduce the things that it is like in science, and thus show a way in which Senku's science connects back to it. But that means that if there was some kind of origination point, that it wasn't something that was entirely natural.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
things like this don't happen that quickly.
Yeah, the show can decide whether it wants to go like pure fantasy with it or like pseudoscience kind of like stuff where it's like, yes, the insert technobabble and then the world was petrified,
Well, no, that's the thing, is I think this show promises that there will be a scientific solution to the petrification.
Solution for sure.
No, I mean that the nature of it is based in science.
I am less.
That's how science fiction works, is that you basically have a point where you get eventually up to a point where you're just about to do things that make sense.
And then you technobabble to leap that gap.
Well, right. But the technobabble usually has something that is just an exaggerated form of science.
Sure. Yeah.
It is not something that is entirely not based in science.
Yeah,
that's where fantasy comes involved.
It's the science doesn't work that way, but some of the things that they talk about are legit. Like in like in Star Wars with the TIE fighters, twin ion engines. Ion engines are a thing in space. They don't work like that, but they are a thing.
Right, but I'm talking more like actual Star Wars isn't sci-fi. I'm talking more like
Star Trek.
Star Trek, where you have things that break energy rules, but all the way up until you get to that point, you just have numbers that are bigger.
Yeah, I feel like that's just or actually maybe Star Trek is the better example of the technobabble, because in Star Wars they don't really do that.
They don't do that. They don't explain anything in Star Wars.
It's really. And hence the jokes in Star Trek of when it's done badly, you have things like reverse the polarity and whatnot. Right. All that.
But the people that are really like into the lore and universe of Star Trek could maybe tell you some of the like seemingly legit technobabble for like why they have like instant food,
Right, exactly. It's the sci-fi thing where it's the you pose a very good argument that maybe theoretically maybe this could be a real thing, even though it's not, but you make it seem like it could be.
Petrification is a real thing in our world, basically, like in terms of like that thing. But the part that's weird here is the fact that it all happened in an instant.
Right.
That's the part that is
and that the
magic,
people could
basically
like survive it and have it be undone.
Of course. No, of course. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the thing in which we have obviously other attributes attached to it, but that's the kind of thing that they could explain. I say actually, weirdly enough, with science. It just then comes down to what the actual petrification is.
Right. I get the feeling there will be some kind of technobabble thing in there at the end, because I don't think it's going to be aliens. I don't think it's going to be anything like that.
So you want to wipe? I'm fine with that. I want to push aliens completely off to the side as well.
While I love the idea of them going to space for the end of it, like for the very end of the show, I don't think they need aliens in order to do that.
Well, now that they actually brought up the idea that Senku might even already know, like maybe where it is, like where the origination point is.
Right.
They don't need to go to space actually, because my reasoning for why they would go to space specifically is that there would be something that they would need to have observed from like old records and data.
Sure, right. But since they already have that information, they don't actually need to do that. And going to the other side of the world, that's pretty close to going to space.
That might as well be
in
going
this
to space,
in this stone world. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am curious to see what will happen with this ominous statue figure shown at the end of the episode, because I feel like this could totally be a thing where it's like, yes, this is the next bad guy or whatever. But at the same time, Senku could like be like, No, I'm gonna wait on this one. like he just
What
looks
do
at
you
the
mean?
person and is like, I feel like this person's potentially bad news. I'm gonna.
What makes you think that this is in the present necessarily?
Huh? Oh, uh, sure. There is
This
definitely the possibility that this was from a different time, and that the person is revived by the
Yeah, they
time.
might be already revived.
Yeah. That is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I would say it's almost a guarantee that for this show to have human conflict in general, they need to bump into another civilization.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
That's one that's been awakened for a long period of time.
Mhm.
Not necessarily like 1,000 years, but,
Right.
like, I don't know, 200 years?
Well, in whatever amount of time they decide to have it be,
Sure,
one
yeah.
of the advantages is that since Senku isn't with them, and Senku is like prodigious levels of like gigabrain science and all that stuff.
Right. They won't be necessarily super advanced.
Right,
or
they won't
anything.
necessarily be any kind of advanced, even if they came
Yeah.
from the modern world, because
Totally.
it's the classic thing of the I'd love to go back in time and wow them with my knowledge. It's like, so how does this electricity work? Dunno, man. You
I
know?
don't know. Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and also based on like just the environment in general and the kinds of issues with human memory and then food and all this stuff.
Sure.
You'd get pretty much back to caveman.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
there's a
like,
very
pretty
good chance
quickly.
that once you get unpetrified, you'd be like, "Oh God, please repetrify me. This is bad.
Yeah,
I
don't
can't
want
survive
this.
out here."
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
No.
In some ways, what I'm most curious about is that if the petrification is a like, I just made the shonen protagonist promise, meaning like it's going to happen,
Hmm.
Believe it, at the very end, I
Right.
will achieve the thing, then that's going to happen at some point.
Right.
It's just about how we get there.
Yep.
And by having a human being shown at the end rather than a like, I don't know, like an alien artifact or some kind of like a thing from like the space station, or I don't know, like a device of some
Right.
kind, or just a civilization of people that are,
Yeah, because that's
unpetrified or something.
right. That's one of the other things is that if someone did this, there's the okay, it might be to avert some disaster or something like that, or some other reason. But one of the other things that you could see potentially being the thing is, did the people that knew about it keep themselves from being petrified?
Yeah.
Like,
or was this just an accident?
yeah, exactly, right. And how would an accident like that happen? Is it just sort of like a Marvel? Oh, there was a lab where we were working on something and it went horribly wrong, or was there intent behind it?
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
The little idle talk with Senku and Tsukasa.
Hmm.
I think this is my last thing for the episode. That was a really sweet thing because I noticed a bit in this episode. Kohaku was, I'm gonna talk about Senku a lot. And I was just like, ugh, okay, whatever.
Mhm.
But at this moment, it made sense for Kohaku to be like, hey, no, they're going to need to talk to each other.
Yes.
Because they were some of the first to actually be,
Mhm.
alive in this world after the stone, petrification thing.
And it was also something where, since we got the connection in the previous episode from Kohaku to Tsukasa, it makes sense then that she would be very observant of the things that happen with this dude as he lays dying.
Yep.
And as he comes to terms with the consequences of his actions that he did, albeit in a very twisted way, as a result of the fact that his sister was sick and he wanted to save her, but he couldn't. And that's something that she definitely will resonate with, right? But yeah, there were quite a few points where it's like, let me pontificate about the awesomeness of our main character.
Yep.
As there's the
Whatever.
upward camera angle and everything.
Yeah. Well, point being, I really liked this sweet little bit of time they spent together because the idea of them idly chit-chatting was something that they used to probably do together.
Yeah.
And it's a way of, hey, let's go back to that time.
Right.
Well, we can't because, well, this whole thing happened. And we're not, playing the blame game here. We're just wanting to, be okay with the fact that we're going to say goodbye, but we don't like saying goodbye.
Nope.
So Senku basically tries to write over in his mind the idea that he's actually saying goodbye. And then, Tsukasa passes out and he's like, okay. And he just keeps going. I loved the idea of the jokes about Super Mario.
Yeah, and the mushroom, and he's actually
just small. It's him. He's totally tripping balls,
right.
10 billion% tripping, and it's just who's the one tripping on emotions right now, buddy?
And who's the one who who maybe other people see them as really big, but inside maybe you feel really small right now.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, the freezing worked. Mirai getting to say goodbye though.
Yep.
After the fridge has been shut, I appreciate that they kind of had a thing where they almost maybe asked Tsukasa, "Hey, would you like Mirai to see you in this state?" And he was probably like, "No, I'd rather that she sees me once I'm back there, and just tell her that
once I'm peacefully just sleeping,
I will be back eventually. You can trust Senku,
Yep.
maybe."
Right.
But that was
a
really
great
cool,
episode.
really cool finale way
Yes.
to handle this. But I am so freaking hyped now.
I'm so excited.
Like, let's be cross-continental, baby.
Yeah, like
I'm so excited.
Oh man.
Okay.
And they do have, since they worked on getting refrigeration and everything, that means they can actually have food for the journey. Because one of the big issues with trips like that across an ocean is how do you keep supplies? And now they have like a ton of different ways to make sure that they have enough supplies for the trip.
Yes, that is part of the thing though that I'm hoping we actually get to see that. I would not want season 2 to start off with them just being in the boat.
Oh no, because
This felt like them dreaming together.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Like just being excited about
Shared
going
vision.
on this adventure together. But please give me in like the next
building
season,
of the boat, the
building
planning
of the, boat,
trip,
all
and
that. Slow down the pacing.
Oh, yeah.
You can go. Just go back to that Minecraft. Just
let's
survival.
get that roadmap.
Yes, stuff there. I love the roadmaps.
Yeah.
Yes. It's gonna be so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say though, Taiju's pose though, where he was like, I get to travel overseas. That was literally a Luffy.
It did very
pose.
much look like Luffy.
He even has the big blocky teeth and stuff.
I mean,
so him doing the pose was just literally Luffy, and I was just like,
I would love it
if
Asugi again, Yuzuriha, or Senku just ended up making a little straw hat and then plopping it on Taiju's head.
Yes.
Like that, I would love it. I would love it so much.
That would be really
also
fun.
They have a manga artist now, which I love. Like it's
really
it's
random, but okay.
Random,
they have a manga
but at
now.
the same time, I feel like that's actually insanely useful because one, okay, sure, yeah, entertainment, and it's fun for us, the audience, because it's manga, right? Let's have it in the stone world. But also records. You need that shit. Right? Like you need to make sure that this is duplicatable because it is fully possible that this return might not actually take 2 years or 20 years or whatever, but it might take 200. Yep. And then you can have the manga of Dr. Stone for the next generation of, and okay, here's how all the science stuff works and everything. Like, I love it. I love it.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this reaction and discussion. If you want to know what's coming up next, I actually gave away the order in the way that I said it before.
Yeah, even though that's also the alphabetical one.
Even though it's also the alphabetical order. Yep.
So
Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 is next, followed immediately by Megalobox Season 2, followed immediately by Zombieland Saga Season 2. So we've got 3 shows lined up all in this slot, watching 1 episode a week to week. And that means, you want to see the first episode's reaction and discussion for Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.